All right, so first play we're going to look at, 2nd and 2, one of the Patriots' first offensive plays.
What's going on, everyone? Mike Kadlick, Taylor Kyles here for CLNS Media. Back with another episode, a Friday episode of the Patriots Daily Podcast here on the CLNS Media Network, powered by our good friends over at PrizePicks. And today, powered by some Patriots midseason awards. It is, there's no true, well, I guess there is now a true midpoint because there's 17 games, but it's halfway through the week. But there's no 8-8. It's now a 9-8. So there's not really a true halfway point of the year. But 8 games in coming up after, or 8 games in going on 9 this week. Trade deadline coming up. We figured we'd take a little bit of time and hand out some awards and kind of assess what's gone on throughout the start of this Patriots 6-2 season thus far. So we'll bat those around for a little while. Then we're going to move into our normal Friday Discord chat. Just a little later on today, probably looking at, depending on how long we go here, 3:30, 3:45. So we encourage you all to hop in there after this and listen in there. We'll answer some of your Patriots questions, our member Patriots questions. Members can come on stage and come hang out with us like our normal Fridays. But before we get into our midseason awards, Taylor, a couple news and notes from down in Foxborough today. We were down at practice. The lone absence was Ramondre Stevenson. And then we spoke with Mike Vrabel after practice, who confirmed that the running back will be out this weekend with the foot injury he's been dealing with. So a little bit of moving parts in the running back room this week. Obviously, Terrell Jennings signs to the 53-man roster. Dearness Johnson signed to the practice squad. So a couple, again, moving pieces there. Travion Henderson looking like he'll have a big role. But just your quick thoughts on this news for the Pats and how not having Stevenson could affect them on Sunday against Atlanta.
It's going to be pretty significant because this was a game where we've been really saying all week that they should be able to run inside. That's where most teams have had success with gap runs. We saw it with the 49ers. We saw it with the Dolphins. We've seen it with the Bills. Teams have been able to do that, and there's not a whole lot of ways that you can attack this Falcons defense on a consistent basis. So I thought this was going to be a big Mondre game, but then, the first day with the toe, we said, okay, TBD, we'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. But obviously we haven't seen him all week, and he's an absolute no-go. So going to be more on Travion Henderson's plate. We both liked what we saw from him last week. Most of that was outside, but his first big explosive run was right down the middle on a wham play between Jared Wilson and Jack Westover, who is at fullback. So I think his vision on the inside and seeing how that progresses is going to be interesting because last week, Josh McDaniels and Mike Vrabel and even Travion Henderson have noted he was more patient, looked like things had slowed down for him a bit more. But it's a different game on the inside where things happen a lot more quickly. You have to make very decisive cuts to maximize the yardage. And the Patriots blocking has done a much better job at not only moving the first level, but actually getting to the second. So will Travion be able to take advantage of those opportunities? And will they continue to rely, or will they really rely on the inside run game? Or maybe if they feel that Travion's better on the outside, I think they'll do both. I don't think they're just going to do one thing. They never do just one thing. But I wonder what those splits are going to look like. And also if Terrell Jennings is somebody that they believe can really be more of the bell cow who does get those inside carries, because that's what we've seen from him when he's been there as the 5-minute back. And obviously you're not running a ton of tosses in garbage time. It's really, more of those hammer. We're just trying to bleed time off.
Get me 3 yards type of thing. Yeah,
exactly. But Terrell has popped in the preseason. He popped last year in the finale against the Bills backups, which again, they were the Bills backups, but it's not preseason, right? These were still guys on an NFL roster at the end of the season, and this was obviously a playoff team, so not terrible backups necessarily, but this will be our first time really seeing what Terrell Jennings can do probably against starting caliber players, because I don't think it's realistic to expect Travion to carry the entire workload. Maybe if there's an extreme scenario, we see something like what we saw a couple weeks ago, where it was mostly Ramondre, and then you see Travion get like 3 carries. So that could happen, but given Terrell Jennings' run style and strengths, the weaknesses of the Falcons defense, and what Terrell Jennings does best, I do feel like he'll get a decent amount of carries, maybe around 10, maybe fewer, but hopefully he can make the most of them and we can gain more confidence in him so that if Ramondre does have to miss significant time, you have kind of a 1-2 punch with Dearness Johnson as more of a depth piece as a practice squad elevation. That hasn't happened yet, but that's what we're projecting is going to happen.
It feels like that way. Vrabel was asked kind of what may happen there, moving pieces. He obviously pushed it off to tomorrow, but that will come with their roster moves tomorrow, who they potentially bring up. So sort of wait and see mode there, but definitely a big opportunity for Travion Henderson, who Taylor, as you tweeted yesterday, has been up and down as a rookie, to be expected. Obviously let's pump the brakes on the guy a little bit, but a big opportunity for him to show what he can potentially do for this team this year and moving forward. One more piece of news heading into Sunday's game against Atlanta is Michael Penix Jr., the Falcons' second-year lefty quarterback, much like Drake May, will officially play on Sunday. Missed last week with a bone bruise in his knee. Was questionable and limited throughout the week, but does not carry a designation into Sunday. So he will go. Drake London as well is good to go. I believe he was among the many guys on the laundry list of injured Falcons this week, but Drake London, their best receiver, ready to rock this Sunday too. How do you see those guys, how do you see those guys affecting the game plan if they couldn't go? And also kind of curious on your thoughts, just the lefty righting thing and how much that really matters in a game plan during the week. Because Vrabel mentioned it's more so towards towards the front rather than the secondary.
That's
the side player.
That's what I was thinking. Because I think you'd want to pressure because most people want to roll to their strength. So I would think if you're going to send blitzes, you'd maybe want to pressure and then make sure that you are staying disciplined, or maybe like you send a safety or whatever to the side that you expect them to roll out to. But yeah, that's more of something I think the defensive front would be thinking about. And if a player has one glaring side that they're worst throwing to, like JJ McCarthy, the whole draft process was that he can't really throw left just because it's kind of awkward the way that he opens his hip. And basically his hip stays closed instead of opening to the target, and it leads to some weird misses. So, but that's not a righty lefty thing. That's more of a tendency. So yeah, I would think it had more to do with the defensive front. But if Penix does play, obviously that's their best option. If it were Kirk Cousins, I would not feel good about the Falcons.
No, me either.
Pass the ball at all. Penix obviously gives you some ability to throw the ball downfield, fit it into some tight windows. And even if he does have the bone bruise, he's not a terrible athlete. He's better than Kirk Cousins. So if he has to extend plays, he has a better ability to do that than the backup. And Drake London, as we know, is one of the better receivers in football. Big-bodied guy. Hopefully Christian Gonzalez shadows him. And then maybe we see like Marcus Jones on Darnell Mooney. I just feel like this is a game where, like last week, Christian Gonzalez flat out said on Patrick Surtain and Terrian
Arnold
podcast that he was shadowing Jerry Jeudy. Hopefully we see another situation like that. Maybe Carlton Davis on Kyle Pitts. I would love that because looking at the Falcons run blocking, the tight ends are a major liability. I don't even know why they use Kyle Pitts in the line of scrimmage as much as they do. So if Carlton Davis, we know, is more than willing to be physical and, get scrappy and all that. So I do wonder if they'd consider having him shadow Kyle Pitts and coming with that, having the responsibilities of a safety and having to get your nose dirty. So it doesn't change my outlook too much. It's just now I think this is going to be a competitive game, but I still don't feel very confident that the Falcons they should not, I think, be able to move the ball with consistency, assuming that Christian Gonzalez does end up drawing Drake London and they do have more of a matchup approach.
Should be an interesting one. I'm excited that we now get the true matchup of Drake versus Penix. I know that right now Drake's on a higher trajectory, if you will, having an MVP season, which I'm sure we'll get to at the end of this podcast here. But a fun little storyline there as well from that loaded 2024 rookie quarterback draft class. So again, Ramondre Stevenson out. I keep saying foot injury. It's a toe injury. I guess it's all in the same. It's the same. It
is on the foot.
It is a fact on the foot, but he is listed as out with a toe injury. And Michael Penix Jr. for the Falcons will, in fact, start under center. All right, let's get into some fun. Like I said earlier, we got some midseason awards for the Patriots there. We're going to do Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Offensive and Defensive Players of the Year, Protector of the Year, a new award in the NFL this year. So we'll get ahead of that. And then we'll do Comeback Player, Coach of the Year, and we will finish the show off with our MVP. But first, Taylor, please tell me who your Patriots Offensive Rookie of the Year is for 2025 so far.
So in our way too early predictions, I thought this was going to be Travion Henderson because what we saw from the summer, it looked like he was going to be their best deep threat. It looked like he was going to have a very heavy role in this offense and be a true RB1, RB2 situation with Ramondre Stevenson. That obviously has not panned out. Some of it has been due to Travion Henderson not really coming along as quickly as many of us thought he would in pass protection, which makes way more sense now than it does at the time because Tony Deuce has shared some insights and even Travion Henderson saying, like, these guys have moves in the NFL. In college, if they're blitzing you, they're basically trying to get right through you or maybe try to juke you. But in the NFL, you're going to get a linebacker who actually can get like a double swipe and knows what they're doing. So that's a whole different ball game. Also, just the speed and understanding how to actually not only stone guys, but really have the proper technique to block efficiently and stay glued to those assignments rather than simply being in a situation where we've seen Travion before where he's kind of loose and he's pulling and he's basically just holding on for dear life. He's coming along. Haven't seen nearly as much of him as a receiver, especially downfield, as we anticipated. But yeah, Travion is no longer my pick, basically, for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Instead, it's got to be Will Campbell, man. Especially after last week. Like I told him, 2 sacks are the 2 sacks, but you were really impressive in those one-on-one situations. And he told me he had watched a lot of Myles Garrett tape. He was like, yeah, against a guy like that, you got to do a little extra. And it showed. And that was a matchup that I wasn't sure how he'd look in. I thought he was really going to struggle. But the fact that most of his issues came in a situation he was uncomfortable with because they tried to help him, and then when he's by himself, he excels, that said a lot for me, because it was just incredible seeing a rookie against a future Hall of Famer showing that much poise, and also anchor against a very powerful, bull rusher as well. And what he's brought in the run game, the fact that the only consistently effective area the Patriots have run to is to the left side, usually behind Will Campbell. I think that says a lot for his impact. And we already knew that he was going to be an impactful run blocker. Maybe hasn't been the way we thought, because we expected him to be coming out on those toss plays and cracking safeties and cornerbacks a little more consistently than he has been. A lot of those have really gone more to Morgan Moses' side, but I've been very impressed with Will Campbell. It hasn't been perfect, and some of the better numbers he's gotten are because he's getting some chip help and things that were more effective against players that weren't quite as dominant and couldn't just throw 8 moves at you in 1 rep and manage to have success. But yeah, man, so impressed by Will Campbell. And this is what we were hoping for, was that Will Campbell would be the one getting this award because he played so well. It's unfortunate that Travion isn't getting it more because he hasn't produced, but at least he's on the up as well. So maybe these two can make it a little more competitive down the stretch, but hopefully at the very least, Will Campbell continues to play the way he has and continue to grow.
Yeah, this is one of the handful of awards here that I have no other argument or no other real candidate for. It's Will Campbell. He's been outstanding, especially with all of the storylines and talks about his arm length coming into the year and his small frame, and are they going to have to kick him into guard, and is he going to be able to handle it? Like you mentioned, the fact that he was able to handle it against a guy like Myles Garrett last week tells me basically everything you need to know, at least for an Offensive Rookie of the Year award, that he has been by far their best player and or best rookie rather. The only, person I'll throw in here as an honorable mention is Andy Borregales, who special teamer, but offense, because he's scoring points for them. He had a rough start to the year, as we know. He missed the field goal against Vegas, and then he missed 2 extra points against Miami in week 2. He hasn't missed a kick since. He went 2 for 2 on extra points against the Steelers. He was 6 for 6 on extra points against Carolina. And then ever since then, he's just been absolute nails, field goals, extra points. And again, for someone who, I asked Mike Vrabel after week 2, I was like, did you just saw John Parker Romo go 5 for 5 on Sunday Night Football? Is there any revisionist history here? And he stood right behind Andy Borregales, and they did so for a reason. So he's been phenomenal as well. So good on him to be able to shake that off after a rough start to his career. We've seen rookie kickers here before in Chad Ryland not be able to do that and go on and obviously have success elsewhere. And Chad's been great. But for Borregales to be able to, again, shake that and do his thing has been awesome. But no, realistically, it's Will Campbell, and there's no other real argument.
Apparently, Evan was doing one of the Patriots shows with Brendan Schooler and brought up the fact that Andy hadn't missed. And Schooler was like, why would you say that? Because he jinxed him and he knocked on him. That was really funny.
Sorry.
Man, it's
right.
been impressive for a rookie to show this kind of resilience. And this is what we had talked about, is his MO. Last season at Miami, he misses a kick, and then he didn't miss for the rest of the season. So it's been very cool to see the mental resilience that he's shown, and also something that the coaches recognize, that this is a dude who doesn't really get too up and down on himself. He's pretty consistent. And Borregales, just the way he talks about kicking, like he sounds like he has a screw loose in the right way, where he just is truly like flatliner, is not affected by the moment, and that's exactly what you want from golfers. You want it from your quarterbacks, you definitely want it from your kickers.
No, yeah, he's been great, and he does seem like you said, he has that mentality where if he misses, it's like, so what? We're on to the next one. So you getting any news?
Michael
here?
Penix Jr. is off the injury report apparently.
Yes, he's playing.
Oh yeah, my bad. Oh my gosh, I think I misheard earlier. My bad.
No, that's fine. No, we're good. It is Penix. It is Drake London. They are officially playing in this one, but. At any rate, Andy Borregales and Will Campbell, but Will Campbell really is the Patriots' Offensive Rookie of the Year. Taylor, who do you have on the defensive side of the ball as your Defensive Rookie of the Year? I think this one may be pretty obvious as well.
Yeah, it's the same person I had when we did our predictions. It is Craig Woodson. Now, maybe hasn't made the kind of impact I expected, where I thought he would maybe have some more plays on the ball. But still, he's one of the best run defenders among the rookie class, I think, at any position. He has 8 run stops, I believe, which are some of the most on the team. Been a consistent starter for them, which you have to give him a lot of credit for being a rookie. And yes, he's had his bad moments, but you're not looking at Craig Woodson every week like, geez, man, like this dude is clearly in over his head. He's been very solid, which I'll take for a rookie safety. You make your mistakes here and there. Looked like he almost had a chance to get his hand on a pass last week. It turned into a touchdown, obviously late in the fourth quarter, but it was still a competitive rep by him. And the versatility he's shown, his chemistry with Jalen Hawkins, I really have been impressed by. I mean, Joshua Farmer needs to be mentioned in this conversation. Not that I didn't think he would be, and I think we probably would have expected Braden Swinson to have contributed more. He's still obviously someone who hasn't really been part of their defensive plans or really plans in general. Joshua Farmer's been impressive, man. He's getting better every week as a run defender. Kairos Tonga mentioned he thinks it's really fun just being able to watch how Farmer has grown and getting more confidence every week. Got his hands on what was supposed to be a shovel pass last week. So Joshua Farmer, I'm not going to lie, maybe by the end of the season, we're saying that he's in this conversation as well. I just have to give it to Craig Woodson, though, because he is an every down starter for you. And as someone who I wouldn't point to as an active liability, because I think he's been more steady the past 2 or 3 weeks, he's absolutely earned it. But Joshua Farmer is making a case as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, 2 in a row off the top. I can't really argue anyone else. I was able to bring up Borregales in the last one. Maybe Joshua Farmer. No, it's Craig Woodson. He's been outstanding. He's started every single game. He earned his role from training camp when they let Jabril Peppers go and they kind of put Kyle Duggar off to the side until now. And it's been him and Hawkins, and he's done his job. He's done his part. He's come close to making, some of these the bigger plays like Hawkins has had obviously last week. Woodson's right there. He's kind of seems to have a knack for the football a lot in sort of the back end of the defense. He's been great as a defensive rookie as well. I got no other argument here. However, for the next one here, offensive player of the year, I think we may be able to go back and forth on a couple guys. So Taylor, I'll kick it to you first. Who's your Pats offensive player of the year so far?
So originally I had Drake May because I had a certain other player winning MVP. But right now I have Drake May winning another award. So it's got to be Kayshon Boutte for me. Now, I know we talked about it. There's a couple receivers that could be in contention here, but they've been spreading the ball around so much, it feels kind of unfair to give it to just one person, especially one skill player. And obviously the running backs haven't been great this season, so it really has to be a pass catcher. I mean, Kayshon Boutte has been the second most productive deep ball receiver in the NFL. The only person who has more catches is Jackson Smith in the jig ball, who was actually the number 2 ranked wide receiver coming out of high school when they were both going to college. Kayshon Boutte was 3, which is very funny. So
who number 1 was?
I don't know if it was anybody that we would know. Somebody sent me a
screenshot
of it, and I was like, that's pretty insane.
That's cool. Okay.
The Kayshon, so cool, as we've said plenty of times, to see his growth from year 1 to year 2, and now the huge jump he's taking from year 2 to year 3, being a consistent player, really a excellent downfield presence for them, not just on the intermediate throws like Diggs, which he had some success on last year, but really more consistent deep success where we saw flashes last year right on the deep ball. And I'm kind of working on something right now talking about how their connection has improved since last season. But Kayshon's reliability, his dominance at the catch point on some of these 50-50 balls, his route running as well, like that dig go that he ran last week. He didn't just go look inside. He fully broke down like he was running a dig before he took off vertically, which is what helped sell it. I've just been so impressed by him. Last week was, I think, the first drop he's had all season. Dude has just been hyper reliable for them. And as good as guys like Stephon Diggs have been, as great as Hunter Henry was, especially earlier in the season when he was carrying the downfield passing attack, just Kayshon Boutte has been the most dangerous player on an offense that's like to spread the ball around. So kudos to him for making the step in his evolution, being a reliable player, somebody that Josh McDaniels credited for his patience. Funny, I said that too. I even told Kayshon directly, I am so proud of you for being okay with sometimes going into the game. Like, how many times has he had 1 catch and it's a deep touchdown?
Right.
Like, other receivers would be fully fair. It would be fully fair for them to be like, why am I not getting more touches? Last year, Kayshon was complaining about getting more touches because they weren't going downfield enough and doing all these things. But this year, I think just like Stephon Diggs, he understands it is bigger than him. There are a lot of talented players that Josh McDaniels is getting the most out of. So again, proud of him for being able to accept that, understanding his role in this offense, and when his name is called upon, he makes the most of his opportunities, because this could be 1 or 2 targets a game where he doesn't do that, kind of like Pop was earlier in the season. Obviously, Pop has done much better of late, but Booty, hyper consistent, a legitimate deep threat that Drake May needed and that we were hoping he would finally get on the outside to maximize his deep ball potential. Man, Kayshawn's been a blast to watch, and I hope they can continue to evolve that part of their game.
He's been great. His ascension in this offense, and his obviously leading them in these big play moments, the deep balls. I believe he leads them in yards per catch, and obviously the touchdowns. He's been able to allow them to open up everything else in the offense to make teams respect the fact that they can go deep on these guys. So Kayshawn's been awesome. I don't necessarily disagree, but I'm going to go with I guess maybe not the more obvious one, but one that more people would think of, and that's Stefon Diggs. His ability to come in this room, and I talked about the trickle effect just now of Kayshon Boutte, but the trickle effect that Stefon Diggs has had too. Again, he leads them in catches, he leads them in targets, yards, only has the 1 touchdown, but he's also been there as Drake's sort of security blanket, leading them in first downs, yards after catch. I know a lot of that came in that Buffalo game, obviously, as well when he went off, but he's just been very, very reliable and somebody who has been able to come in off the ACL, which I'm sure we'll get to that in a little while in a different award as well, and been sort of a binky in the offense for Drake and someone who he knows he can trust. He knows when, there's a got to have it play on 3rd down, 4th down. Drake's been awesome in those spots, and a lot of those have come to Stefon Diggs. So both of these guys, Boutte and Diggs, have made us sit here on our trade show the other day and be like, they don't really need to go get a wide receiver, which is kind of crazy to think about after what the room looked like last year. But the two of these guys have really together made this offense, along with Drake May, so much more respectable than it was a year ago. So they've been awesome to kickstart things. So Taylor's going with Kayshon Boutte. I'm going to take
fun, honestly. I like that both are pretty deserving, because like you said, for Diggs, it's more the consistency and the production. Like when you look at all of it in the totality, he absolutely has been one of the most valuable players. I maybe just value the explosives and that it just brings an element that I don't think Diggs has been able to bring consistently.
I agree.
But there's a fair argument for both, which that's a pretty good place to be in, especially for a Patriots team that has been offensively inept outside of Drake May's flashes the past couple of years. So yeah, that's a fun combo.
No, it is. All right, let's hit one more here before we get a break. Defensive player of the year on this Patriots team so far. Who you got, Taylor?
So originally I had Christian Gonzalez. Obviously that's partially affected by the fact that he missed so much time. And I feel like it did take him a couple weeks before he started to look more like Gonzo, especially like that Panthers game. It felt like there was definitely some rust he needed to shake off. And then he was locked down last week against Jerry Jeudy. Not great competition, but still starting to see that lockdown ability from Christian. But I've got Milton Williams. And this was a very tough pick because this defense has a lot of players who are worthy of recognition. Caleb Chason has been excellent for them off the edge, making plays against the run and the pass. Harold Landry's been an impact player. I'm not going to talk too much about Christian Barmore because, spoiler alert, he is on the list, just not here specifically. And Robert Spillane has also been awesome. He has 2 interceptions. He's one of PFF's highest graded run defenders. He has an elite grade somewhere in the 90s. And a lot of that is because of the defensive front, but also him being opportunistic and making the most of the opportunities he gets. And Jalen Hawkins, maybe not a defensive player of the year candidate, but even someone else who's making an impact in a way that I don't think a whole lot of us expected. I really wanted to ask Vrabel about Hawkins today, but I didn't get a chance to. In that very weird end of today's press conference. But Milton Williams, another guy who's been disruptive against the pass and the run, his run defense, that was somewhere where people thought he'd struggle. I pointed out that in his career, he'd really been an excellent run defender and a highly graded run defender who was someone who was more of a flash in the pan as a pass rusher where you saw it, but it didn't always come together. And then his last season with the Eagles was when you did see, okay, this guy's an elite pass rusher. Now we're seeing both. And he doesn't have the numbers partially because they do rotate so much. Like they have entire packages where Barmore and Milton Williams aren't on the field, but they're still able to produce, stop the run, gets a little bit of pressure. And Milton Williams also, it's not just him. This is a defensive front that's playing for each other. So sometimes Milton's drawing attention and that allows other guys to get production. There's also times where Milton has been able to produce and get sacks because there was attention somewhere else and guys just stopped blocking him. So a lot of these guys on this defensive front, I'd give it to the whole defensive line if I could. But I think Milton Williams, one is the crown jewel of free agency, I think living up to his contract is a bit much because it's a crazy rich contract.
Yeah, right.
And he's not producing like a top 5 interior defensive lineman. But I don't think anybody's looking at Milton Williams tape and saying, oh, this guy's not an impact player.
And nobody's questioning the contract so far either.
Exactly. So I think outside of one other guy, I don't know if there's anybody making more of an impact than Milton Williams when he's on the field. So that was why I chose him.
I like it. I'll go with Spillane. You mentioned him in that a little bit there. But he's been, again, sort of like how I mentioned with Craig Woodson, just all over the ball. Like, he leads them in tackles. He obviously has the 2 interceptions, which currently lead the team, I think, tied with Jalen Hawkins. So I think he's been awesome. Someone who started the year a little bit slow. We had a little bit of questions about that contract and kind of what they may have been going for there, but he's came back and rebounded over the last couple weeks, and we mentioned it how the PFF grade in general on this, or the ranking of this linebacker core is the best in football. We talked about that earlier in the season. It didn't look like they were going to live up to the case, and now they've been able to do just that, mainly because of Spillane in the middle. So he's been great. Another honorable mention.
Yes.
Marcus Jones.
Yes. Oh my God. I can't believe I hadn't brought him up. Yeah. But the funny thing is, I actually had him down for a while before I did a little bit more digging. I was like, I got to give it to Milton Williams. By the end of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if it is Marcus Jones. Yeah. I know he's given up a couple bad touchdowns, but his competitiveness, he's getting his hands on the ball. He shows up in run defense. This is defensive award, so we don't really have to acknowledge that he's been excellent as a punt returner as well. But I mean, Marcus Jones is having a Pro Bowl caliber season in terms of his impact. Now, he doesn't have the name recognition as other outside corners and other outside corners. The assignments they draw are going to get them more recognition. But Marcus Jones has been one of the best cornerbacks in football this year. So just like I said earlier with, Will Campbell, maybe somebody makes it more competitive or something like that. I could see this potentially going to Marcus Jones somewhere down the line. But yeah, right now Milton Williams does have the edge, but Marcus Jones deserves a lot of credit as well.
He belongs in the conversation. A lot of the defensive players have. A lot of their defense has been outstanding, or good enough, obviously, to get by and help them get to 6-2 on top of what the offense has been able to do. And a lot of it has been, like you said, Milton Williams, Robert Spillane, Marcus Jones, and the bunch. So with that, we'll hit a quick break here. I'll tell you guys about our friends at Prize Picks, and then we have 4 more awards to give out before the show's end. So we'll be right back. And this episode of Patriots Daily is brought to you by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better on Prize Picks. And even though the weather is changing, the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks is the best place to get in on daily fantasy action because they offer stacks, meaning you can pick a player up to 3 times in the same lineup. So if you want more Drake May passing yards, rushing yards, passing touchdowns, total touchdowns, you can put 3 of them in the same lineup, and you can only do that on Prize Picks. So don't miss out. Get in on the action with us today. Download the Prize Picks app and use code CLNS, and you will get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that is code CLNS on Prize Picks, and you will get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, 4 more awards here, Taylor, and we're going to kick off the second half of the show with the NFL's newest award coming this season, which is the Protector of the Year. First of all, before I ask you for your answer, I love that they're doing this. Linemen never get enough credit. Everybody knows that. It's the flashy league. Everyone wants quarterbacks and wide receivers and things like that. Linemen never get some love. They do the dirty work, both sides of the ball. Maybe eventually they'll do a defensive trench player of the year, something to give one exclusively to those front guys, but they do get looped in a little bit in defensive player of the year. But regardless, Protector of the Year, 2025 Patriots so far. Taylor, who you got?
I actually stuck with my original pick for this one, and it is Mike Nwenu. Okay. Now, I thought about giving this one to Garrett Bradbury because he hasn't really, or he's exceeded our expectations as a pass blocker. But you have to think about the totality, right? I think it is Protector, but also I'm going to throw in run blocking as well. I don't think it's fair to only have it be a pass protector, even if that's how the award works. I don't really.
It's kind of odd. I wonder how they grade that or kind of will vote on that because it should just be offensive lineman of the year, but Protector sounds better. So I don't know.
Right. But even if it was just pass protector, I mean, it is Mike Nwenu. It doesn't always look pretty, but Mike Nwenu just rarely gets beaten in a really ugly fashion. Now, there will be stunts where, yes, like he's committing one way and he's a bigger guy, so somebody gets through the gap and he struggles. But I've just seen more moments where Garrett Bradbury has lost in ugly fashion. Doesn't always pay for it. I think Drake has helped his linemen in those ways quite a bit. But I've just seen fewer egregious losses for Mike Onwenu, who I do think has gotten better as the season's gone on. I thought he looked kind of rough to start the year, to be honest. And also as a run blocker, while he's also been inconsistent, I think he has been better than Bradbury, who I think a lot of the time is more of a liability than anything. As a run blocker, he has his flashes, but there's also just been so many times where I've seen him get thrown, or he doesn't really do much at the second level, or things that you'd expect him to be better at that he hasn't done a great job of. And with Mike Onwenu, most of his struggles are things that you kind of already knew were in his bag. Like at the second level, he's 350 pounds. It's going to be tough for him at times. But then when he does, he's dominant. So Morgan Moses, I think, has been very good, especially for 34-year-olds who you thought was going to maybe miss a bunch of games. But we did say earlier this season that he hadn't missed a bunch. So you're thinking like maybe like 3 or 4. He hasn't missed any, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. But he has had some bad losses as well. But I think Morgan Moses, honestly, might be the closest runner-up in this category, especially for his run blocking. I think he's probably—
That's who I have here. Is Morgan
okay, so
Moses.
I'll let you talk. But yeah, so
I'll spoil it now. Yeah.
Yeah, I have Mike Onwenu.
No, that's fine. I just and I went between Moses and Bradbury because of, like you said, the way we thought of Bradbury during the season, where Jared Wilson should take his spot, and maybe he ends up getting cut, and should they have kept David Andrews over him? There were so many conversations around Garrett Bradbury, and he's been down the middle, down the fairway, drive perfect. Not perfect, but he's been good enough. We talked about being scared that, Drake's gonna throw it and get his hand knocked off by his helmet, and he's gonna get walked back too much. Like, we haven't seen much of that at all from Garrett Bradbury, so he's been awesome. But I feel like Mr. Consistency has been Morgan Moses for this team on the right side. And somebody too who, we mentioned, we thought he was a little bit not injury prone, but vulnerable to miss some games every couple or a couple games in a year. And yes, they've given him a lot of rest over the last couple of weeks, but it's so that he's ready for game day, and he's been good enough in game day to get by. And the fact that they have replaced 4 out of the 5 offensive linemen from last year into this year, and yes, Drake's been sacked the second most times in the league, but not all of that is the Lions doing, as we know. And I think a lot of that, frankly, does have to do with Morgan Moses, not only specifically on the field, but also in the room with these guys. And we saw him and Will Campbell after every single training camp practice. So just his presence in the room. I used the saying trickle down earlier, but the way Morgan Moses is able to help and teach these guys. He has an impact on your protector of the year, Mike Onwenu, too, on that right side, being able to work together with him like that, as does Garrett Bradbury. So I'm going to go with Morgan Moses there, but a lot of even Will Campbell could get this award as well, but obviously we gave him Rookie of the Year, so we won't necessarily double dip there, although there might be a double dip in this next one here, which is the Comeback Player of the Year for the Patriots in 2025. Who you got?
Yeah, I got Christian Barmore for this one. Originally, I had Jabril Peppers, which I still don't think was a crazy pick, to be fair, if he had been as healthy as we were hoping he would be. But yeah, Barmore. So I originally had him as the MVP. I can't do that anymore, considering somebody else is playing at quite a high level. But Barmore has been amazing. He isn't quite in 2023 form where he looked completely unblockable, but he's been damn close this year, man. Took him a couple weeks before he really got started, but he was still very good, like from jump, especially considering he hadn't played in the preseason. They've been managing him because they want to make sure that he stays healthy. But the number of times that I've seen this man dominate against double teams, and when he's singled, he just starts bullying people out there against the run. As a pass rusher, his impact is almost impossible to quantify because he isn't able to rack up. Actually, no, it's not, because he's up there in pressures, like in hurries and things like that, where in terms of sacks and raw stats, he doesn't look great because he's not reaching the quarterback a ton or knocking him to the ground a lot, but he's in the backfield and causing issues every single week, multiple times. There's not a whole lot of players other than Milton Williams that we talk about more than Christian Barmore in terms of being like, whoa, something just happened back there, and it looks like Barmore just like split a gap or put somebody on skates. I wish I could give him something even bigger than this, but because Milton Williams, I think, has had a bit more of an impact and done better and actually getting to the quarterback, I gave him the edge for Defensive Player of the Year. But Christian Barmore is running away with Comeback Player of the Year for me.
Yeah, I had Barmore, but I also have stuff on Diggs here as well. We can throw him into the mix. I obviously gave him Offensive Player of the Year, so I didn't want to double dip, but we'll throw him in here as well, coming off the ACL, off the ACL, being ready for training camp and being as productive as he's been. and being able to not only, again, be a comeback player of the year, but being viable for offensive player of the year. We already talked about Diggs enough, but that comeback from the injury and to be able to do it has just been outstanding. And his whole impact on the room too, where they kind of did need a pro in there, and he's been exactly that. So super impressive there. The fact that he was able to, fight through and be ready for the season and really be as dominant as he's been this early on is good enough for me. So
nice that so many of these big award or like important awards have multiple people where you could make very fair cases for them getting it.
Yeah, which is, and I keep kind of doing the, oh, well, this turns into this award, and oh, well, we can talk about this guy here. But truly having so many people being worthy of an award is perfect for this next one, which is Coach of the Year, because this coaching staff has made such a difference for this team. But if you had to pick just one, who has had the most impact so far on the past this year?
And this is assistant coach of the year, right? Or is this overall coach?
I guess Vrabel can count, but I feel like that's almost too obvious. Like right. I think he has a. Let's go assistant.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Josh McDaniels. That was my original pick for all of the reasons that he is. Those were the same reasons I thought, because he has too much experience. He has had so much success, and you're giving him a quarterback who can do pretty much anything. I just thought that was going to be an unfair combination for the rest of the NFL, not just in the future, but I thought this season there was a good chance that these two were going to put up some crazy numbers in production and tape, and that's exactly what's happened. Not only has Josh and also Ashton Grant, like I want to give other coaches credit as well. Vrabel is, quick to do that, and I think it is important because it's not all Josh McDaniels, just like it's not all Mike Vrabel. But we know Josh is a quarterback guru, so clearly there's also a lot that he's doing, and helping Drake May to improve his ball security, to be better in the pocket, keeping his eyes downfield. All of these things have made huge differences in Drake May's game. And on top of that, I spoke to Drake today about his deep ball success and how Josh has helped with that. And he was like, the biggest thing is just scheming it up and creating these opportunities. Man, when you look at Drake throwing deep last year, it's night and day. He's throwing under pressure. He doesn't look comfortable. There's not a lot of great opportunities where he's either throwing in a double coverage, or there's just not a lot of great looks. This year, Drake's almost never under pressure when he's going deep down the field, especially with Kayshon Boutte. And there's better opportunities for him to throw the ball and not have to throw into these crazy tight windows where it just feels like he's putting the offense on his back. And not just that, but we saw like last week with Travion Henderson scheming up a really great run plan to be able to run the same concept 6 times, I think, and do it in 3 different ways where the defense didn't really know what exactly was coming, and you were able to kind of fool them with misdirection. So, man, it's Josh McDaniels' world. We are just living in it, but he has made this offense so much fun to watch. It's been a breath of fresh air. It's to the point where I'm overwhelmed every week, because instead of being like, I don't want to watch the film, it's like, I want to watch this film from so many different angles. Like, what was he doing with run actions, and how was he setting those up? How many times did he call the same things? How many plays did he call that he ran a different week, and how did he do it differently? Like, it is overwhelming when you are a lover of football watching Josh McDaniels, seeing all the different ways like motion, even where he's, I know the Patriots are near the bottom of the league in motion rate, but I don't think you can watch the Patriots and say, oh, they never motion, or, oh, they don't know what they're doing. Josh has always used motion with intent. So yeah, man, this offense has been a treat to watch. I'm so glad Josh is back. Hopefully he never leaves. From what he said earlier this week, it sounds like he's seen the light and understands that he's got a very good situation and probably won't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
TBD on that, of course. But he's I don't think he's the only coach that's deserving of this award, to be fair, but he's at the top of my list for sure.
He would also be at the top of my list, but to not just piggyback off. Well, I will say one thing on Josh. We talk about the head coaching thing, and if he ends up leaving, like, I do think he knows that he has certainly a cushy gig here. And if you were to ever maybe try and leave again, I wonder if Kraft would do the same thing he did last time and pull him off the plane and give him another bag of dough and be like, you're staying here. But like,
drag him.
Yeah. and now from what he's done with other programs and the way he did burn Indy and, kind of not have great stints other places, I don't see him getting another NFL job. But like, if a college came calling and was like, hey, we want to hand the program over to you, and they can yeah, right. Yeah, give him the big bucks. Like, John Carroll was one I was thinking about, but even like, yeah, it's probably too prominent. I don't know if they go there, but like if Penn State called and was like, hey, we want to go this route, are you down? Like, it's
Filio 2.0.
Yeah, right. It's impossible for Josh McDaniels to say no to that. And I get it. I just don't think I don't see it necessarily. I do wonder, given the success he's had, like, oh, you coach Tom Brady. Now you've done this with Drake May. Why can't you do this? Or what college or what up-and-coming high school quarterback wouldn't want to go learn from Josh McDaniels? But at the end of the day, I do think he's comfy here. He loves it in New England and would want to stay long-term.
And it's also a completely different game. Like, not even
Right.
head coach in college and head coach in the NFL. Those are totally different jobs.
Yes.
Much less going from a coordinator as a person who failed as a head coach in the NFL to now being a head coach in college where you're dealing with kids. You don't have, you have a lot more power, obviously. But no, you don't actually, because there's NIL. Like,
recruiting. There's too much.
Stunned. Yeah. And you have Drake May. You probably set with him for like 10, 15 plus years. I cannot see someone who loves coaching the quarterback position and also having success like Josh.
Right, he's so good at it. He's so good at what he does. Yeah, right. So
he could probably. I think he is. Is Josh McDaniels a Hall of Famer? He has 6 Super Bowl rings.
I would have to
look at the second dynasty.
I would have to look at a list of assistant coaches who have made it and determine. But I mean, shit, if it was up to me, I'd give him a gold jacket. I think he's been outstanding, and he's been, like you said, an integral part of 6 of them. So, and
if he can do, I think it's unfair because people are gonna be like, oh, he did he only did with Brady. I don't think doing with Drake May is necessarily going to help his case.
Yeah, right. I know.
But if you have 2 different quarterbacks who you help put together Hall of Fame careers, how do you not? You know,
I'm with you.
I'm not sure if he's even thinking about that. I'm sure he's probably not, because it's so uncommon for assistant coaches to make it. But I mean, he's at least someone where you have to have the conversation. It's not like you brush it off. So I don't see, at least head coach would make more sense. I think in the NFL, but college, I feel like that's a completely different beast.
The other assistant coach I had on my list is Zach Kerr, and what he's been able to do, and frankly, what he's had to do with Terrell Williams being in and out in the offseason program. Core took that over. And then now with the longer term, with unfortunately Williams being unavailable due to his cancer diagnosis, and to have to come in and take over multiple times, take over calling the defense, keep those guys all on the same page while still running. Again, it's all their systems that, Vrabel, Terrell, and Core have been together for quite some time. But for him to escalate as quickly as he has from a quality control coach to linebackers as an assistant to getting fired and now with the Giants. And now we see, like, for him to have to take on that role and for the defense to be playing as well as they are, a lot of credit has to go to Zach Core. So he's been put in a tough spot given everything around him. And I think he's hit it head on and has been really outstanding there, frankly, for what they probably expected him to have to be able to do when they originally hired Williams. So I think it's Josh McDaniels is the leader in the clubhouse, but that shouldn't go unnoticed as well.
One other guy I think who deserves recognition is Todd Downing. What he's done with the
wide
receiver room,
especially
as someone who we were skeptical, because
very skeptical.
Very honest. I think the coaching staff last year, maybe we were a little generous with what we thought they could be. And with Todd Downing, we did all right, who are you kind of worried about where you're not totally confident? Just Downing, because we've never seen him do this before.
Right.
But I think, like Josh, his perspective from a quarterback angle has really helped the wide receivers kind of figure out how, especially in this offense, the quarterback does see things, and also knowing his role, where Downing's like, you're not going to see my drills on TikTok, but you are going to see that they are functional and that they are for things. And we've seen that with the punch out drill we saw at that one practice where they caught the ball, got up, and then they were working on people trying to punch it out. That was a specific drill because I think it was the Titans had done that to a team the week before. So you do see how his drills do make a difference. And the receiver room loves it. And the energy that he brings on the sideline, I think that does matter. It's not everything. The guys aren't doing what they're supposed to do and their technique sucks. You being, all happy-go-lucky on the sideline doesn't mean shit. But he, I think, has been great for a position group that has been one of the Patriots' worst since Josh left. So Todd Downing is also – there's other guys we could name as well, but Todd Downing deserves a ton of credit for what he's done.
No, the whole staff has been amazing. But I'm with you, too. Downing deserves some love there just because of, again, the what we thought we may have been getting in that guy, having been – with the Jets and Tennessee before that, whatever. But he's been great, and he's certainly done his job and had those guys all on the same page. But that's enough about coaches. The final one here is the MVP of the Patriots, and I've tried to give a rebuttal to your argument, but I'll let you go first here, even though I know we're going to pick the same exact guy. Who's your MVP of the Patriots this year?
So this summer, I chose Christian Barmore just because I was thinking if he was back to 2023 levels, and we were high on Drake, but we didn't know exactly what it was going to look like and thought he might have the struggles and maybe a late surge. So wasn't quite sure there, but it's it's Drake May. Because Drake May is the league MVP. And I honestly don't even know what to say at this point that we haven't already said. He's great throwing downfield. He's great under pressure. He's great versus the blitz. He's great when he holds the ball for a long time. He's great when he doesn't hold it for a long time. He's one of the most dangerous scramblers in the NFL on top of being one of the most proficient downfield throwers. In all of this, while still having plenty that he can do better, he is I think it's unfair to say he's carrying the offense, but this is not a unit where you're saying that the wide receivers are carrying him. It's not a unit where you're saying the run game is carrying him. It's not one where you're saying he's getting such good pass protection. He's just got all the time in the world back there. Drake May is the straw that is stirring the drink for this Patriots offense. Obviously, credit to every other unit for doing what they're doing well and the coaches for putting him in positions to have that success. But you're also seeing Drake, just go sicko mode, make plays on his own, on top of being able to execute when opportunities present themselves. So, I don't need to go on too long. Drake May is not only the MVP for the Patriots, I think at this point, he is the MVP for the NFL, albeit with quite a long way to go.
Did you hear the squeaking in the background by chance? You did. That's Millie going nuts. Sometimes I'm like, this mic that gets so close, I wonder if you can only hear what's around it, but I didn't know if that's what you were laughing at or not, Millie. Millie's having a Friday for herself, but Drake May is the MVP. It's completely obvious. There's no other argument. Not that
the baby.
Yeah. Who's your MVP, Millie? No, it's Drake.
Toy, for sure. It's the Chew toy.
It's the True toy that looks like a Mountain Dew bottle, but says Mountain Drool. Good. Shout out, Millie. But no, it's Drake. I would go on. I could go on, but there's not much else to say here.
Did Mike freeze for anybody else, or is it just me? I don't see him. Oh, yeah. He's got the circle of death. Let's see. All right, maybe we kick him out, see if it comes back. I'll kick him out. How do you kick people out of this? I don't know if I have the authority. There he is. Welcome back.
You got me?
Yes, we do.
Millie pulled my internet out.
Oh, my God. I was about to close out anyway, so you're good.
No, it's fine. Drake's our MVP. Sorry about that. I will make sure that the dog doesn't interrupt the next podcast here. But as I said before, that's our midseason awards for the Patriots. And we're going to head over to our Discord channel now, as we do every Friday. So there's about 1,300 of you across Twitter and YouTube watching right now. So if you're tuning in, I would encourage and recommend you to head over to clnsmedia.com/Discord. Find our Discord chat. It's called the Patriots Daily Stage, and anybody can join. Anyone can come listen in, and our exclusive Patriots Press Pass members are allowed to come on stage and ask us questions. So we're going to go over there for a little while here before we head into the weekend and before we head into Sunday afternoon's contest against the Falcons here. So, Taylor, good stuff here. As always, appreciate your insight and all of your midseason awards here. And I'll see you in Discord in a second. Hopefully you see a bunch of you. We'll be back on Sunday, Patriots postgame. Probably a pregame show, actually, too, since they're home in Foxborough. So rate, review, and subscribe to Patriots Press Pass here. And thanks for being patient with me as my internet cord got yanked out. But until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we will see you soon. Peace out, everyone.